How you guys doing? My name is Flash. This is Fight Flashy, and I want to welcome you back. Thank you guys for coming back. Thank you for watching the video last time. As promised, I brought guests in, and this is the first one. This is a very knowledgeable trainer. I've worked with him, and a lot of guys down here in the South have worked with him. He's traveled all over within boxing and MMA. Super knowledgeable about the sport. Follows it to the T. So I figured I'd bring him in for my first guest, give you guys some knowledge on different things that are happening. What's going on, Jason Gochez? How are you doing, buddy?
What's going on, brother? How you feeling, man? Thank you so much for having me.
Tell him a little about yourself. Tell him, just give him a brief introduction, like what you've done, who you've done, where you've been.
Well, yeah, so like you were saying, I work with a lot of pros, boxing and MMA fighters. Currently, I get some work in with number 5 ranked UFC welterweight Kamaru Usman, who's got a fight coming up against Rafael Dos Anjos. I've worked with a couple of Bellator guys, Linton Vassell, Taiwan Claxton, Carrington Banks. Boxing, where I used to work with the number 2 ranked light heavyweight Humberto Savigne before he retired. I've worked with a couple of Cuban Olympians, Del Torriente. I've worked with Leduan Barthelemy, who's Rances Barthelemy's brother, and a couple other, up-and-coming guys here in Florida. But, like you said, man, I love the sport. I love teaching, I love coaching, and I love working with these guys, man.
Very cool. Yeah, no, I mean, I've used them several times when I get motivated, which is very rare nowadays. But yeah, the stuff that you work with a high-level coach like this is crazy. On that, what's up, man? What's up with boxing? What's up with boxing? I was reading today, and I saw Canelo's moving up to 168 to fight Fielding. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if he's just kind of trying to take 2 belts in 2 different classes and start branding himself that way, or I don't know, dude. I'm kind of conflicted on this whole thing.
I hear you, man. I mean, well, you saw the Triple G fight, right?
Yeah.
Fought Triple G.
Yep.
So we got a draw and we got an inches win.
So yeah, I mean, let's talk a little bit about that, just because it's past. So we'll kind of touch on it just to kind of see where you're at. I've heard everything. I had it at a draw. Maybe Triple G slightly over, but it was close.
All right, I agree. I think it could have went either way. I'm not upset about a Canelo win.
Oh no.
No. I think he fought a really good fight. He fought exactly the way that they wanted him to fight.
And then that was actually kind of funny, because he was talking all kinds of mad trash about how he's going to run on the ropes and be a man fighting the man right in the middle, and 10 rounds he was in there.
And then the other thing too is I feel like when you're going to go fight somebody in their own home, you got to put it on them. You know what I mean? And Triple G, like I said, they both fought a great fight, but I wasn't upset with a Canelo win.
Okay, cool.
Now, with that being said, him moving up to 168, I think that's a De La Hoya move.
Yeah.
I think that's a business move, which is cool. Like I said, I understand, the business of boxing. It makes the product a little bit more valuable. It's going to go towards his legacy, Like Canelo's on the road for a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for him to jump to 168, not to mention the fact that, I had no disrespect to any the fighters in 168 right now, but the 168 division is kind of a weak division right now too.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's Fielding's a good fighter, but I think it's a good entrance for him, right, especially to get a good win. He had some trouble in the past, in Canelo style, especially if he plays it that old school Canelo style, just kind of safing it out a little bit and picking his shots and picking where he wants to be. I think it's gonna be a good fight for him.
Like I think if Andre Ward was still around at super middle, I don't think he would have made that jump. But I'm excited to see what he's gonna do at 168. I don't think he's gonna stay there. I think he's gonna go up, grab that belt, maybe probably move back down. But
okay,
we'll see what happens.
I mean, there's a shit ton of 160s that are extremely hungry and actually do deserve their spots. One of the ones I can think of is Danny Jacobs.
Danny Jacobs for sure, man. Hey, shout out Brooklyn. Shout out Danny Jacobs. All right, that's my man.
So it's turned into a New York thing.
I used to do not training with him, but alongside when he used to train out of Starrett City Boxing Club back in Brooklyn. When he's still right before he turned pro, and then right when he turned pro to begin with.
Notice when people start talking about Brooklyn and New York, how the accent starts flaring out. This whole interview, it's been South Florida, and then the second we start talking about New York.
It's all right. I got the fit. They don't see my Timbs though. They don't see the Timbs. It's cool. But no, man, Danny. Not to cut you off, man, but Danny is my dog. I've been a fan of Danny for a long time. I think he's like more than proven himself, you know, especially with his comeback. Like it was an amazing comeback. You know
So why don't you think he's getting the spot?
Man, bro. I mean, you know, it boils down to politics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It definitely boils down to politics. I don't agree with it. It's, you know, one of the aspects of the pro fight game that I really hate, but unfortunately it's a necessary evil depending on how it is. But then you got guys like Danny Jacobs that suffer because of it. You know, he's a belt holder at 160. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
you know, nobody's talking about him in the same circles that they're talking about Canelo and Triple G and, you know, even a Charlo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
So I mean, there's rumors on that though that he's definitely ducking Charlo, Jamal Charlo. So
who's ducking Jamal Charlo?
Canelo.
I don't-
I've seen a lot of things on that recently about him doing that. That all came up, I guess, with him jump up to 168.
Listen, I don't blame him. I think you know, Jamal Charlo is a beast. I think that he's got a difficult style for Canelo to deal with, to be honest with you. But at the same time, I saw a recent interview that Bernard Hopkins did, man, and I kind of agree with him in the sense that, like, I don't think Jamal Charlo has done enough to earn that fight yet. You know what I mean? Like, there's a Danny Jacobs out there. You know what I'm saying? Why have you not fought Danny yet? You know what I mean? Get through that belt holder first. You know what I mean? I don't think he can because, like I said, I just think Danny's, you know, on another level, bro. Especially, you know, coming back from what you come back from. You know what I mean? Like the dude beat cancer. You know what I'm saying? Not only did he beat cancer, but he proved a lot of skeptics wrong and became champion again. You know, and then, you know, once you've looked mortality in the face, man, there's not much more to be scared of.
Yeah, no. We talked about that last week too, just about coming back from cancer. It's that was actually one of the topics of last week, so that's pretty cool that tied in.
And then I don't know if you saw did you see the Triple G fight when he fought Triple G?
No, actually I didn't.
I think he beat him. It went to decision. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that would agree with me. You know what I mean? That Danny Jacobs won that fight, but they didn't want to mess with that Canelo money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, politics, right?
Yeah.
You know?
So I mean, and you hear this all the time. The boxing business, or even screw it, the fight business. Like what's I think personally that's what's holding the sport in this darkness.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, I don't know who said it originally, but I've heard Teddy Atlas say, I think, you know, I'm a huge fan of Teddy Atlas. You know, boxing, nothing can save it and nothing will ever kill it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, and I understand that there's a lot of money to be made in boxing. Like, you know, like I said, I've run around those, you know, those business circles with a lot of the pros, and the amount of money that's to be made in the pro fight game, not just boxing, but the pro fight game, is what makes it thrive, but at the same time, it's what ruins it exactly. You know what I mean? So where it doesn't matter who the better fighter is anymore, it's all about who's more marketable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and I don't think, you know, like I said, I'm a coach with some old world values, man. You know what I mean? And I value the hard work and dedication of a good fighter as opposed to, you know, whether his smile looks good on camera. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you remember back in the day, my favorite era of boxing, obviously with respect to, you know, the OGs, you know, Sugar Ray Robinson and those guys back in the day, man. But, you know, those mid 70s, early 80s era of boxing, even into like the early 90s, man, those guys were beasts. You got the Tommy Hearns, you got the, you know, the Hands of Stone.
Now, all right, so on that, because back in the day they didn't have the MMA, do you think MMA is what helped wash out some of those legends? Or do you think, I mean, because back in the day I remember people wanting to box and be by boxers. Like nowadays it's like you hear it but you don't hear it. You know, I work with a lot of kids as well, and like there's definitely a huge divide when it comes into something like that. It's like you meet a lot of kids like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be the next MMA superstar, and then you meet some kids like, oh, I'm gonna be a boxing world champion.
Right, I hear you. Well, okay, so no, I don't think that it's washed out the quality, you would say, maybe like a fighter, but the problem is that it's a lot easier to get into MMA than it is to get into pro boxing. You know what I'm saying? Pro boxing, you know, if you don't got money behind you, you know what I mean, like a manager that's gonna, you know, steer you in the right direction and set you up on the path that you need to be set up on, it's really, really hard to get into that. You know what I mean? MMA, you know, it's kind of, especially down here in Florida, you know, Florida's an MMA state, you know what I mean?
It's crazy.
You know, and you know, with respect to these guys, because like I said, these MMA fighters, they're beasts and they're animals. You know, they train like there's no tomorrow. You know what I mean? And you got like a whole hungry crop of these young guys that want to come up. But you have these shows that just want to put on shows. You know what I mean? Like they're interested just to show as opposed to moving a fighter. So and then you get guys that want to go in there and fight for sometimes ridiculous money. Sometimes guys don't even get paid to fight. They got to sell tickets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's kind of what steered me away from that whole game.
I hear you, man. It heightens the level of respect that I have for the fighter because, like I said, these guys just want to go in there and fight. You know what I mean? They love it, but they're not treated and not broke off the way that they should be.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I mean even just looking at paychecks, it's just like you got your top 5, and then you got everybody else.
Right. So again, it boils back down to the politics and the business side. Where, like I said, it's harder to break into pro boxing and get on that championship path versus breaking into MMA on the pro side, or even on the amateur side. Breaking into MMA and having that shot to get to the top. You know what I mean? Because
for sure.
You don't really need money behind you to be a good MMA fighter. You just need to go in there and put on a good show. You know what I'm saying? And knock fools out and whatnot. And MMA is one of those sports where anything can happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure we've seen like a whole bunch of MMA fights. I don't know, like, did you see the Derek Lewis fight that just happened? Like, that was insane, bro. You know what I mean? Like, he's losing the whole fight, and then 10 seconds left in the round, and boom, he lands. There's a lot of guys that can do that. So it's I think it becomes more realistic for them in their head to want to aim to be the next MMA superstar.
But you don't think that would wash out boxing and getting those greats? Is like, all right, well, I can do this, and I can have a 50 fight amateur thing, possibly going to the Olympics, and then get vetted into a pro contract somewhere where I can just go over here and just hop in a cage and clip somebody, put them out.
No, I don't think it's gonna wash boxing out. Because boxing is.
I mean, there's definitely the purists. There's definitely I definitely hear the kids that only watch it. I mean, especially country-wise, some of the Russians, the Mexicans, and pretty much anything in Latin America. They breed boxers. They have the MMA there, but that's like the boxing. I mean, the U.S. I hear it's a definite division.
Oh, division for sure, but I don't think it's gonna wash it out because you have two. Like I said, it's like trying to compare, baseball and softball. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that MMA is comparable to softball. You know what I mean? Like softball is a tough sport in itself. You know what I'm saying? But there's two different paths. You know what I mean? So like, there's a lot of states where I can fill out an application and become a pro MMA fighter.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to boxing, where you kind of have to go through the amateur ranks. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I mean, you definitely see the vetting process. It's like you look at somebody's amateur book and it's like, wow, it's filled.
Right. You know what I mean? We've been to a few of them. You know what I mean?
It's crazy. It's crazy how many like how vetted it is to get through it. And then once they flip pro, how they work to get up the ranks and promoter, manager, and all that stuff to kind of position themselves and who they fight and who not to fight. And it's just the science behind it is crazy.
Right. I just think it's like between the two sports, I just think it takes a little bit more time to cultivate a top level boxer as opposed to cultivating a top level MMA fighter. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
If you got an iron chin, you know what I mean, and steel in your balls and in your hands, you know what I mean? Like you can be a world champ at the highest levels, you know what I mean, in MMA, which is cool. In boxing, it's a little bit more than just having like an iron chin and iron hands. Now that's not to say that guys in boxing don't make it very far with that. They do, you know what I mean? But there's a lot more technical aspects to it, you know what I mean, that you have to master and you have to learn just to be able to get in there, you know what I'm saying? And I think MMA guys, the guys that are at the very top are the ones that pay a little bit more attention to the technical stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you can definitely notice boxing coming into hand with the top level guys,
right?
It's opposed to everybody else. So I mean, it's boxing. You definitely need it.
Right.
It is what it is. So what would you say as somebody that's seen the whole vetting process to somebody that's looking on becoming a pro boxer? How like what would you recommend that approach to vet yourself properly and make sure that your career is set pretty much ideal, so that you can make it to the top.
So, in all honesty, man, like, you know, boxing, I understand, is an individual sport, and at the end of the day, it's the fighter that gets in there in the ring, you know, and does the work. But I think it really boils down to the team that you have and the people that are around you, you know, because that can either make or break you. You know what I mean? They're either going to help steer you in the right direction and move you the way that you need to be moved, or, you know, they're going to set you up for failure. You know what I'm saying?
No, and like you see that pretty much all the time, really.
You know, so I would encourage guys that want to get into, you know, the boxing game, even if it's on an amateur level. You know, pay attention to the guys around you, at least the people that you consider part of your team. You know what I'm saying? Pay attention to the decisions that they make. Pay attention to the words that they say. Don't just go in there and take everybody's, you know, word for what it is. You know, I see that unfortunately a lot, where a lot of fighters, they have like misplaced trust. You know what I mean? And you know, I'm pretty sure you've heard the expression, "The road to hell is paved with good intentions."
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got people, you know, sometimes you got people around you that, you know, they might have good intentions, but they're giving you the wrong advice. You know what I'm saying? So you just gotta listen and be observant a little bit more, and just pay attention to who it is that you got around you.
Okay. And there you have it. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much. Jason, please plug yourself.
I appreciate it. All right, no doubt. You can follow me on Instagram at JBoyCuba. That's at JBoiCuba. All right, you can check out my page, see some of the work that I do and some of the people that I work with.
And of course, my name is Flash. My Instagram handle @FlashThe, and that is also the YouTube channel. And then the Pulp Report. Thank you guys for, of course, Title Boxing Club, Hallandale Beach. This is my home. This is where I live. So, you know, look forward to having you guys back real soon. Thank you.
Shout out Title Boxing.